Namaste. Welcome to Future Leaders produced by Today's Youth Asia. In Future Leaders, we discuss visionary ideas, talk about innovation, inspire youth leadership, and nurture concern for a better world. I'm Ashmita, and today we have the privilege of having with us Mr. Ami Copeland, co-founder of the consulting firm New Partners based in Washington D.C. Mr. Copeland has served as a senior financial advisor to the Democratic National Party. In 2008, he was the Deputy Finance Director for President Barack Obama's presidential campaign. We also have with us my co-host, Mr. Santosh Saha, the President of Today's Youth Asia. He is also an inspirational figure for many youths like me.
We have an amazing personality, Mr. Ami Copeland, one of the key people behind the $750 million raise for President Barack Obama's presidential campaign. Mr. Copeland, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
What made you feel that Senator Barack Obama was the one?
It was actually a very difficult decision at the beginning. We had many qualified candidates, many senators and other qualified electeds that were running for president, and I had many friends who were working for a lot of other candidates. What attracted me to then Senator Obama was not only his groundbreaking ethnicity and his background, but also the team that he was putting together. They were looking at everything in terms of grassroots to the tops to every aspect of a campaign, which would really allow me to build a team, fundraising operation that truly engaged the people. And that, to me, was probably the most important aspect in terms of choosing a candidate.
It was a tough decision. I mean, now you have achieved it. The success has been achieved. But at that point, because, I mean, in the 60s, America tried it, and for 40 years it was quite difficult. And what triggered you as a person?
It made me feel that I was doing something transformational for the country, but also for my generation. It had been a long time since there had been a transformational political figure in our society. Given the past 8 years before this presidential campaign in particular, I felt that we needed somebody who came from outside the political world and represented more to the American people than just party politics. And Senator Barack Obama, to me, certainly was that candidate.
Where do you find the freedom in your work as a political consultant, which is very much restricted to power and money? Where do you get that freedom to decide that you want to go off the track and bring that as on the main track?
For most folks, politics and money is a bad combination. I think that what we're able to achieve and the organization that we were able to put together on the campaign truly was a bottom-up operation. We targeted not only the business leaders and the industrialists that traditionally finance campaigns, but we also engaged young entrepreneurs, people who had not traditionally been a part of the political world, and just as importantly, we also engaged the students. We valued a $1 contribution as much as somebody who could give $2,300, which was the maximum that someone could contribute at that time. And for me, that meant political power, and that meant political organizing.
Now, how do you feel, you and your team, about the success of having the first African American as the president of the country? He's young, he's dynamic, he's a great speaker. And not just America, the entire world has hope in him.
We couldn't be more proud of the work that we did, and we couldn't be more proud for the fact that our country was able to finally make this leap that just really put aside, the politics, straight party politics, and was able to really sort of bring the country together. That for me personally was the most amazing part of it.
Can you tell our young generation how your work impacts a nation or the world when you elect a good leader to the government, or when you encourage the goodness of the people to come in the forefront?
I think we've already seen a shift in how the world views our country and views what we are trying to accomplish domestically as well. It's going to take a little bit of time, I think, to fully break down a lot of the barriers that that have been constructed over the years. But it's something that we take a lot of pride in, I think, as a country, and we hope that the world is beginning to see us a bit differently as a result of that.
We live in South Asia, which has very different political dynamics compared to America or Europe. Where do you see the scope or the role of a think tank like yours?
We have a political consulting group. So basically our business model was to take the lessons of not just the Obama campaign, but all the other campaigns that we've worked on and really try to apply them not just to political campaigns, but also to issue advocacy groups, to some specific corporations that we agree with ideologically. So we had a lot of groundbreaking systems that we initiated and put in place, and being able to take that knowledge and take that experience and really to apply them to other sectors is something that we wanted to do in putting together a new company.
Normally when we talk about power and money, we see a lot of negativity around. People misuse it, and people use it against other people, against humanity, and you are in the center of that circle. Where do you draw the line between the good and the bad?
It's very difficult. As part of the Obama campaign, we set very strict standards on money that we could collect, people that would raise us money. We said we would not take money from people who were registered to lobby the government. We would not allow them to raise money for us. We would not take their personal money. Individuals who had conflicts potentially with the government as well. We had a very strict vetting standard for the support that we would receive. So we started with that, and as we built our operation, we really looked at, as I had mentioned previously, engaging all aspects of society, and all, from anyone from students to middle management across the board. When we brought people together, we would ask them, even for just a small contribution, $1, $2, $3, it didn't matter. We knew that if someone would give just a little bit of their financial support, it would make them want to support this candidate across the board. It is a personal investment. So, obviously we never took corporate contributions. We didn't take PAC, Political Action Committee contributions, and that's something that after the campaign we're instilling within our Democratic Party as well. So we feel very proud of the fact that we have drawn very strong lines as to the money that we will take, and we will be completely transparent with everything that we do.
And despite that, you raised the highest money ever raised in a U.S. presidential candidacy, $750 million. How did that happen? We
soon realized, with our candidate, that we had someone special, and we were awakening something special within the country. So how did we take a special individual and move it to financial support, but at the same time making sure that we respected the people who gave us money? We had a mantra within the campaign that was developed in Iowa. It was called Respect, Empower, and Include. The number one people in our campaigns were the volunteers. If you volunteered, came in, gave your time, we were driven by the volunteers. So it was very respectful and very empowering. We wanted to do as much as we could to let people do the organizing themselves and give them the tools, give them the support. It was the exact same thing with our fundraising. If someone could put together $200 amongst their friends, or if they could put together $250,000, we gave them the same support.
From South Asia, we followed the 2008 elections very closely because we sensed that it would also have impacts on South Asia quite greatly, where we have Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and we are in Nepal. It was amazing to see so many young people being involved like never before. How has this impacted America's leadership in bringing the young people in the mainstream? Or is it still under construction?
I think it's definitely still under construction. We did see a spike in the level of participation of youth across the country, but it's going to take, I think, another couple of years to see what that really means as a political force. As, like in most countries, the youth are engaged, but how they act necessarily, and how they see that electing a president is really just one step. It's the first step of political engagement. They need to be engaged at every level, both at the city level, the county level, state level, issues that are important to them regarding the environment, regarding their future financial security. These are things that I believe it will take a little bit of time to really sort of impact. But we started out, this is a good start, I think, and I think it's been probably about 30 years before we've seen this sort of enthusiasm.
America's politics has become global, and more global in the recent times, especially in the last 10 years. And I think South Asia plays quite an important role in that. Do you see that the young leadership in America is becoming more about the global issues, especially of that of Asia?
I think so. I think as we become a more globalized society and globalized economy, we know in particular, for example, we have a lot of financial stake with China. We know that our financial security is not just based on our money alone. It's based on what happens globally in the world. So we definitely are looking outward and looking for partners for that mutual growth.
Your firm, your consulting firm, New Partners, also works in international consulting. How do you see the economy of America and Asia moving forward?
Our consulting firm has been looking much more internationally as over the last 12 months. We are a young firm. We're looking to grow internationally as well, and we want to take the same lessons that we learned and we developed on this campaign and help other politicians around the world to utilize them and to work towards a better commonality.
Somebody that I met in Kathmandu who has...
I'll open the floor to you. If you have any questions and queries, it's all yours.
What were your major risks when you were raising funds for Barack Obama?
Losing was probably the biggest risk that we faced. When we started, there was not, a lot of folks did not give us much of a chance to win at all. And given the overall political situation, it seemed likely that a Democrat would win the presidency. So if we didn't win, my name probably wouldn't be all that great right now. That being said, there aren't that many risks associated with traditional fundraising. You need to make sure that you aren't raising for the wrong people. You want to make sure that people aren't trying to buy influence with the money. So you need to make sure that everyone that you ask, everyone that you have your candidate ask for monetary support does not have a financial interest at stake as well. You want to make sure that you keep them both separate at all times.
And how often were you criticized?
We weren't criticized all that often. 3 months during the campaign, you have a reporting period where you have to say how much you actually raised. And this is a very good test. The press looks at it as a test to see how much support that you have. So after the first 3 months, we reported a very large number. We beat out every other candidate, so we received a lot of praise. But for the most part, you try to avoid press when it comes to fundraising. It's just just as a general rule, you don't like talking about money in politics.
What was the most interesting, funny, or very memorable part or experience you had?
I would say the most fun, it's hard to pick out one instance in particular, but the most fun was the first 3 months of the campaign when it's just a few of us working on it and everyone is saying that you can't win. There's no way that this is going to happen. And you get in every morning at 9 a.m. and you leave at 1 a.m. and you've never worked so hard in your life. And just to feel that exhausted, feel that driven and devoted to a cause, that's a feeling I think I will keep with me forever.
Mr. Copeland, how was it like working with Senator Barack Obama, then Senator Barack Obama, during the campaign?
It was fun. It was interesting because he had never done anything like this before. I never worked on a presidential campaign, so everything was new, and we were trying out a lot of things. He knew the type of organization that he wanted to build, and he put together a team in order to do that, but we were all sort of figuring it out too. And I think there's been a lot of writing about the early days of the campaign and how the candidate sort of figures out why he's doing this or how he's going to put this together. So being able to share in that experience with him was very special.
And now that he's the President of the United States of America, how has that changed when you met him after he's become the President?
I don't think he's changed all that much. He cares, the number one thing that he cares about the most is his family. And that, I know for a fact, has not changed. So it's his family, his faith, his devotion to his country, the idea that he can do and bring together people to help our country move forward is something that he saw at the beginning and still sees today.
Could you tell me something about the process of fundraising? Who are the major contributors? Do youth like us contribute?
You have to be at least 16 to contribute. You have to be a U.S. citizen and or hold a green card, which is a permanent resident status. Aside from that, and there are also limits. You cannot contribute more, this was during the election, you cannot contribute more than $2,300 to the primary campaign. Once the primary campaign is over, you can do another $2,300 for the general election, when we ran against Senator McCain. But in total, you're not allowed to do more than that. What we relied very much on were raisers, people who would ask their friends for money and ask other people for their financial support as well. So we really wanted to empower the people who wanted to do more work. So it was a lot of organizing, pulling small events together, big events together, and just sort of giving them the tools to help raise the money.
In 2009, Barack Obama won the Nobel Prize for Peace. Though he himself said that he hadn't worked enough to gain such an honor, many say that he was more than deserving. What is your view?
I would agree with that. I think that, as the President said, it is acknowledging a very large transformation that occurred within our country, one that was notably recognized by the rest of the world, especially given what happened over the last 8 years, this was something that it was more, I think he accepted it more on behalf of the American people than anything else, and he knows that there's a lot of work to do still in order to fulfill that mantle.
Do you feel any sort of difficulty or burden after being a hand behind the world's most powerful president?
Not necessarily a burden, but I definitely feel much more invested in the process. As I had mentioned before, this is my first presidential campaign. I'd worked on other campaigns before, and for different senators, and they tend to focus more on specific issues and focus more regionally in terms of what they cover. Now, with the president, I worry about everything. I want to make sure that he does well. The health care bill that just passed, I think, was absolutely outstanding, and is a is going to be a great benefit for our country. But it also allows this entire administration and his presidency to accomplish much more.
Mr. Copeland, you're very good at the work that you're doing. How do you suggest the young people to pursue your path? I
think that when I first started in politics, fundraising wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to get into or I was looking to get into. I grew up in Iowa, and my mother was a reporter, so I knew about the political process and was engaged, but didn't really know about the business of politics, what it takes to really sort of have a career in it, aside from being an actual politician or working in the government. So working on campaigns really afforded me a lot of opportunities to try out different things. So both in terms of helping to organize, doing some research. I didn't do much press, but that I was able to sort of find my niche in the political business world. So really being able to explore a lot of things early helped me to sort of fall into fundraising.
As we discussed earlier, that wherever there is money and power, it often tends to become negative, and corruption is something that's killing the world right now. Where do we find people like you and make them do good works so that the politicians are given positive directions? Because ultimately policies do matter when it comes to global harmony or a nation's development.
Well, I think that the people like me are sitting here right now. They are people that care about their country. They know that things need to change, and it's just a question of organizing and doing the work. It's not that big of a shift, really, from from volunteering or from being a youth to really getting involved and to really engaging and carrying your values with you, working only for people that you feel that carry and share those values. And if they veer from those, if they do something that you don't like, you shouldn't feel obligated to stay there. We all live in we fortunately live in free societies, so it's something that your values, need to guide your life.
Thank you, Mr. Ami Copeland and Mr. Santosh Shah, for being with us and sharing your insightful thoughts and ideas. We hope to get your feedback. Our email address is youthtya@gmail.com. Thank you for watching us. We will meet you next week at the same time. Have a nice week. Namaste.